Get your coffee, get your tea. Come on, sit down with me. So today we will be talking about the blooming. But before that, I don't know if this is going to be a quick conversation or a podcast. And also, my drink for today is a cold pressed green type juice thing with lavender and agave and I can't remember what else is in it, but it's really good. And I cut up some blueberries and I put some blueberries on top. It's good. I like it. It's interesting, I must say. It's really interesting. But it got like a nice spinach type punch to it, if that makes sense. And I made a video about blooming. Hardest thing about blooming is blooming amongst others and not judging your petals as you bloom. I want you to remember that quote, and that's a perspective to shift your reality and something to really be thought about, especially on social media when everyone is coming up right along with you. It's hard to not stop what you're doing in order to pay attention to what everyone else is doing and start to judge yourself for blooming and doing what you actually want to do and say, I should be doing this, I should be further along, I should be. I'm going to say this, everyone blooms at a different rate based on how they value their petals. Just because someone else is blooming different doesn't mean your bloom isn't worth blooming. And to value your petals is to allow yourself to expand beyond the seed that it came from and the stem that is holding it. That's a perspective to shift your reality and something to really be thought about. Expansion allows people to see not only how you bloom, but that it was worth blooming in order for someone to see you. And the expansion of the bloom allows you to be able to reach further. So, there you go. Blooming as well as a Substack, but I'm going to expand on it. One of my subscribers here on YouTube wanted to hear more about blooming. So, in that video that I made about blooming, this is what I said. The hardest thing about blooming is blooming amongst others and not judging your petals. Let's talk about it. We're going to talk about being a seed. One thing I paid attention to is when you plant a seed, it has to be 3 to 6 or 6 to 8 inches away from the next seed, depending on what you are planting. If you're planting like a fruit or a veggie, they can be close in proximity, but they can't be bunched up to where the roots will entangle with the next seed. If it's a tree, I think it's 12 or 9 inches away from the next seed when you're planting it. And it made me think about the most interesting thing overall. When a plant grows, it does not allow its roots to entangle with the next because it understands that not only do it need space to grow once it comes to the surface, but that it wants to have its own little comfort pocket. Because if you pull it out of the ground, that one plant, if you pull it out of the ground, it has to have its own ecosystem, its own roots in order to be to sustain itself. If you put it in a pot, or if you put it in something different or plant it somewhere else, it has to have roots in order for it to continuously to grow. Depending on the pot that you put that seed in, once it grows into a plant, a tree, whatever the case may be, it understands whatever you put it in will either constrict the growth and its roots, and it will allow itself to become stagnant in a way. But if it has space, it know it can expand without real limitations of bumping into something else or messing up its root systems underneath. And I think this is really interesting because when we are planted in something and we plant a seed, the first thing we want to do is involve other things, and we try to figure out why we're in isolation or why is no one coming to comfort. It's because you are planted so far away from something else. And once you're planted so far away from something else, it teaches you your own structure. It shows you how much you value growing. Not all seeds grow. And to understand the value of growing is to understand that your environment is going to give you everything you need if you don't go outside of yourself. And when I say that, when you look at an egg has everything it needs once it is fertilized in order for it to survive as a embryo, a fetus, in order for it to become a chick or whatever is inside that egg or a bird. But once it decides to hatch, it understands that it will experience the world differently versus the egg that it was in. But when it was in this little shell, it understands that the roots, if you ever look at somebody how they do x-rays or shine a light on the egg, you'll see the heartbeat like an ultrasound. It'll make me think of an ultrasound. No, because it's different. We're talking about roots and systems. So with the egg, you'll be able to see like all the little stems of the blood cells and how it's starting to form. When you plant a seed, you understand that you can become so much more if your ecosystem allows the rain to come when it needs to come, the sun to shine when it needs to shine, and the moon to be there in order to expose everything in the darkness and understanding the transition of it all. Because if the sun continuously to shine, that plant can burn up, that seed can burn up. It won't find the value of growing because it's getting too much of one thing. Let me take a sip on that one. And when you're getting too much of one thing, eventually the rain can't come if the sun is shining all the time. And if the sun is shining, what is the benefit of the moon? Cycles. You have to understand that seeds go through cycles. And we're going to be talking about the beginning of it all. And we're going to end up with the bloom. But you got to start at the beginning. And once you understand those structures, you'll understand why you are building a root system, which is essentially your foundation. But you have to see, like, do I want to grow this way? What is the purpose of growing that way? What is the purpose of doing this and that? Is giving you your own footing in the soil that you planted that seed in, even if that seed is you. But if you keep looking at it, so trying to see if it can grow, I'm going to tell you something funny. There is no system that I know of where you can see underneath the ground without digging in it. I haven't seen somebody try to do an x-ray on the ground, CAT scan, none of that. But they do have metal detectors to determine if it's metal underneath the ground, but it don't have a detector to detect if a seed is under there unless you tell someone you planted that seed right there so they can dig it up. Or so they can look and see if the harvest is coming or what is going on, but they can only see it from the surface. Nobody know what is planted inside of you and what you have planted in the world unless you tell them. Ain't that interesting? But As you build your foundation, you'll understand what works and what doesn't work for you. Not every root that a seed sprouts is viable in a way. And the reason I say that is this: when you see a plant growing and a couple of the leaves turn yellow, but it has all these little branches on it and stems. But what that plant understand is something was wrong with this particular leaf, that it had to let it go in order to save everything else that is growing on that stem in life. Say, for instance, this is a friend or a family member, and you keep holding on to them, and they are affecting the whole entire stem. And you're like, I can't let them go. God say you better remove them or it's going to mess up your whole entire root system. You're like, but eventually this leaf will die off on its own because you won't let it go. And you will feel the pain of it dying off until the point the root system will not send nourishment to it to allow it to live and thrive because it's already dead. So how much are you giving to things in your root system that is dead and cannot grow with you? Another example is this. How would I say this? It's 3 types of people that admire flowers: a gardener, a florist, and the person that gets the flowers, that enjoys the bouquet. I'm going to say the seer. I'm going to call them the seer. They all enjoy the beauty of one thing differently. The gardener values not only the seed, but growing and nourishing that seed and turning it to a plant or flowers, and understanding the process and the cycles of it all. A florist only enjoys the flowers that bloom and bring beauty to a bouquet once it is picked, in order for the seer to enjoy it. But the process is, a lot of people want to skip the gardening, go to the florist and be the seer, but you got to understand both of these are temporary, because once the flowers die, they have to go back to the gardener in order to make another bouquet for the seer to be able to enjoy it. How many times are you cutting away the most beautiful pieces of yourself for the florist to take to the seer and only enjoy the temporary satisfactions or the temporary things of you? Let's go back to the seed. Once that seed grows, it's not afraid of breaking the surface, but is unsure of what is there. But it understands the fruit that it can bear based upon the root system that it grew underground. And it understands that I can no longer grow down. I have to grow up, because something inside of me is sprouting in a different way that is not attached. Well, it is attached, but it's different from my root system. It's bigger. You never seen, well, trees do have a root system where you can see it a little bit up top, but you never really seen a plant or a veggie take its root system and grow it at the top and grow what it can produce at the bottom. If you expose your roots, people will take away the most important foundational parts of you, and you will never be able to produce the fruit. And let me bring it back to this. How can I say this? So once the seed has the root system, it understands it has to go up. Because it's different. Once it's time for you to sprout, something in you is different from your root system. And you start to go above the ground. and you break the surface. The hardest part is breaking the surface. When a woman gives birth, the hardest part is the crowning, because the ground is usually hard. With the woman, you have to Child. Instead of talking about a woman giving birth, I'm going to show y'all this plant that I've been growing for years. And you see how this part is yellow compared to everything else is green? Most likely this one is going to break off. This plant came from this plant. It fell off one time and I was like, you know what? I'm going to plant it into this because it essentially gave me a root system after it fell off, because it wanted to be its own thing, but it never started off as a seed. No matter what I did, I could not get that one to grow how it needed to grow, like this. And when I understood this, I was like, you know what? Something is different. With this one, the soil is soft. When they planted this plant, the soil was always soft enough for the plant to break out of it. I want to see if y'all can see. When I'm looking at this, I cannot see the root system. But when I pull it up, I can see it. What the seed value is, making it to the surface so you can admire and get the beauty of the hard work that it did underground. Look at my beautiful baby. I'm gonna hold up. I'm gonna do this. It's my cover. But let me put her to the side because I'm gonna have to go put her back. She long, honey. But this one, the soil is hard. And I was like, maybe that's taking away from the nutrients of this plant and preventing it from growing. And I told myself, what if a lot of people don't want to start off as a seed, but understand they fell off of someone else's growth and wanted to become something more, not realizing the process of getting a root system and a foundation. And I even tried putting this in softer soil. What I'm trying to do is seeing if I can take this out because it's dying essentially. Look at the root system it gave me. I even tried to plant this in the same soil with that and it would not grow. I wanted to see how far this piece would have taken me. Sometimes it would give me a whole bunch of leaves, but it never will stay or get longer than this length. And that used to bother me because I'm like, I'm watering it, I'm giving it plant food, I'm doing this and that and all of these things, and it will not give me enough root system like this to bloom like this. The hardest thing in the world is to compare your blooms and your petals to someone else's. And some people say, well, you know, that one is small and that one. Don't judge it just because of that. Some people think that it's always positive and negative when you're judging yourself for blooming. You have to understand the root system. And when you understand the root system, you will not judge it because you understand the process it took in order to grow. The person that judges the plant is the gardener. The person that values the flower is the florist. And the person that wants to see the beauty of both people looking at it in different aspects is the seer. Huh? Do y'all hear me? Let me go put my baby back. Hold up. We live, baby. We live. We back. But say, for instance, that smaller plant would have grew and look, had bigger and more beautiful petals than, I'm going to call the big plant Gloria. I'm going to call this one, what's the smaller one? Got to give it a name. Inkling. Okay. And if Inkling would have grew bigger petals than Gloria, and I decided to take Inkling out of that pot, it don't have a sustainable root system. Even if the soil was soft, I wouldn't be able to move it. And essentially it will die because it didn't find a foundation. I tried to save that plant for 2 years, and that's all that it gave me. A lot of people will judge their petals and their blooming on others people's, the way it look, but not knowing how the root system is. Can they be moved? Can they sustain the different weather? Can they understand the benefit of, if one of my roots is affected, will all the other parts of me still be able to sustain the very thing that I am producing? That is the question. A lot of people can produce fruit. You know what? If your root system is messed up, you won't be able to produce the fruit. It'll look like it if you're next to the right thing. Say, for instance, you got 2 veggie plants next to each other, and they're supposed to be growing a carrot. And you be like, oh, I just know that one right there. Carrot gonna be bigger than the other one. Because the other one is small, it's little bushes, give me a little leaves. But the other one got so many leaves, and you pull it up and nothing is there, and it got a couple of pieces of roots. And the other one give you the biggest, beautiful carrot that you ever grown in your life. How are you judging yourself based upon what do you see? A florist don't care about a root system. It care about the fruit or the flowers that was produced from it. It don't care if that thing lasts a minute, the bush that it came from, or the vine, or the whatever. It don't care about. They don't care about that. They see the beauty in the now and the beauty in the next month or week. The gardener know, just because this plant didn't do good this season doesn't mean this plant is not going to do amazing next season if I give it a little extra love, if I give it a little extra care, if I take it and move it out of the environment that it's in and put it next to the other ones that is flourishing so well, what this plant will be able to do. So when God move you, understand he is moving you around other things that is flourishing so well to teach you about your root system. And a lot of people don't like to hear other people's advice or things they need to say. The question is, why did God move you in that situation and in that predicament? What do you need to learn to fix your root system, to heal yourself, in order for you to produce the fruit how you want to? But the thing is, you have to understand what you want to produce and how you want to produce it. The perfect example is manifestation. You want $1 million. You want the nice house. You want the nice cars. But you're around somebody who like, I just want the simple things in life. They can't tell you about a root system. They can't tell you about manifesting and believing and working on yourself, because there's something extravagant. It has to be more work put into it in order to get something out of it. They don't want to do that. They're happy with their tiny root system. That's okay. That's 100% okay, honey. But is it okay with you? For you to be like that when you know you have bigger dreams and bigger thoughts and bigger goals? Are you willing to be moved in order to produce when it's time for you to produce, in the season for you to reap the benefits of everything that you have done? Are you okay with that? That is the thing. Are you okay with it? And the answer is always yes, until your feelings and your heart tell you no. And the world. People is okay with being moved until they realize that nothing in their surrounding is familiar. But if you have your root system, you understand you will always bring comfort to yourself and have access to everything that you built in your foundation and that you're growing. Say, for instance, you're in a flower shop. And I hope y'all getting what I'm saying. I hope I'm not just babbling. Because my mind is going like a million miles a minute. And I'm trying to catch everything that I am thinking in my mind, but also bringing it to a point and a conclusion of understanding. When you're in a flower shop and you ask the florist to pick you a bouquet, the next question they ask you is, what is it for? What is the occasion? Some people say, just to have in my house, just to have a piece of beauty in my house. I love flowers. Versus somebody saying it's for a wedding or it's for a funeral. For a funeral, it understands it has to have morning flowers. Some people will say, what is a morning flower? You never give a person that is alive a carnation. It's like an omen. Maybe this is a southern thing, honey, but you never give a young person a carnation. I think I'm going to put like one right here. You always give people that is alive and people that you love roses. That's what I learned when I was in a florist shop, and even family, stuff like that. You give them roses, red roses. White roses is essentially for weddings, for really special purification moments. Birds of paradise is for people that wants to feel the exotic pieces of the world and the beauty around it within a small frame of all I need is one. When you always look, most times you look at a bouquet, if they have one birds of paradise, they might have two, but no more than that. It consumes the bouquet so much, because what if the other flowers judge its petals to a birds of paradise bloom? It's not a comparison. I'm going to put some of these flowers right here so y'all can kind of get a gist of it. But back to what I was saying. The florist will ask you, what's the occasion? And you say, just because I want to have some flowers in my home. I love flowers. The bouquet will give you something that will bring you comfort. A bouquet that will bring you comfort. Most times it may have a little baby's breath. It might have a couple of roses. Depending on the season and what you like, maybe a sunflower. What is another flower? It's rare to get magnolias, but some people like magnolias. But I'm going to put a home type bouquet right here. It's mostly bushy. Hydrangeas. I love me a hydrangea. And it'll have maybe some hydrangeas in it and some filler flowers. But what you got to understand, a hydrangea does not get its comfort from a lot of waters being on the root, but on the petals. So would you tell me that a hydrangea is being cliche, or I wouldn't even say cliche. Would you saying they're being bougie because they enjoy, or sad, depressed because they enjoy being rained on, because they understand the sun will dry it out, and they constantly need water. They constantly, every day, twice a day. In orchids, it will bloom one good big flower, then they have one right here, maybe one right there. Would you judge your bloom? Say for instance you're a rose bush. Would you judge your petals to what an orchid can do and tell that orchid it didn't do enough? And understanding that orchid is so delicate, that is all it can hold. An orchid can never do what a rose bush do. And a rose bush can do what an orchid does. But the thing is, it may be just starting off, have one or two, but will that rose bush thrive like an orchid? No, essentially it will die because it's meant to be abundant. So abundant. Because they understand the process of what it had to create in the thorns. It can never be an orchid. A rose bush has to protect its petals by creating thorns so any and everybody cannot come and pick it, besides the gardener and the florist. And the florists most time don't even want to touch the thorns. They remove it because they understand the seer do not value the thorns of the rose, because they don't want to see the pain that the rose had to go through. They don't want to prick themselves while they admire the petals. So when somebody, say for instance, you're a rose and somebody come and pick you and take off your thorns, do you feel vulnerable to the world? Do you feel like they're picking you apart and you get sad and you get depressed, but you're comparing yourself to an orchid? Or do you want to be the one that remove your own thorns? Now you are vulnerable to the elements in the world around you. Would your petals thrive? If you are a rose bush and you compare yourself, as I'm talking, you know what's crazy? My bracelets is coming off. I'm like, wait a minute, what's going? Hey, but if a rose bush compare itself to a sunflower, will the petals burn off? Because a sunflower finds its value and its understanding of facing the sun in order to get all the nourishment it needs. And sometimes the sunflower, when it's nighttime, you will see kind of like the little petals close up. You got to ask yourself, what are you comparing yourself to? What do you want to be? Who do you want to be? What fruit do you want to produce? What petals do you want people to see? How do you want them to value everything within it all? From the gardener, God. From the florist, your community, and the people around you that is looking at the most beautiful parts of you and hoping they can pick you and keep a piece to give to the seer. The world. But if you don't go through the process of these three, of this one, you will never see the florist, and you will never be able to allow the world to see you. Ask yourself that. And it all started off as a seed. And a seed understanding the value of the foundation that it grew. And don't question why you're going through this and that. And all this is because you said what you want to be. It's not even saying about what you want to be and how you see yourself being. It's what's instilled in you to come out of you. Because an egg, you might see an egg and you might be like, that's a little chick. And come to find out that ain't no chick up in there. That's a pea chick. That's a pea. I just started learning about, it's a peacock and a chicken together. And the egg looks like, it's so weird. But you gotta understand that everything that is instilled in you will come out of you for you to understand what it is overall. But how you grow, what you produce is up to you. Your goals and your dreams is planting another seed around you. That y'all don't hear me though. Once you grow, you'll find value in, I want to do this. Let me plant another seed. I want to do that and plant another seed. Next thing you know, you got a garden full of flowers and fruits and veggies, all off of you understanding who you are. So when you plant something else, you got to understand it's going to go through the process of it all, but you have to be the gardener of it. And if that fruit or the whatever that seed don't produce what you want it to produce, how fast, you got to understand some plants, they don't produce fruit not until 2, 3, 4, 5 seasons later. God forbid it's an orange tree. I had a little orange tree. I got tired of watering that thing. Then it grew a little something on it and the bird came and ate it. And then I had to read online. It was like, yeah, you got to wait a couple of more seasons. Essentially, that orange tree had to go. But you see what I'm saying? It's just like everything don't happen fast. But with life, we're so fixated on time and how it just goes by so quickly that we want to hurry up and eat the fruit of it. That's why bioengineering is a thing. Everybody wants something now when it comes to eating, because people are hungry. They constantly want this and this and this and this and that. A plant, a tree cannot produce as fast as someone hunger comes up. I want y'all to think about that. If a tree can produce 100 apples, but you got 300 people that want to eat, most time them people is not going to cut up them apples. They want a whole apple to themselves. So it becomes a thing of, how can I sustain the world without telling them about the roots and the process of the plant, to make them happy, because they don't care about it all. They are a seer and they want to eat. And if you are producing and doing things in order to just satisfy the seer, you will never have enough fruit to produce. You will overwork your root system and you're not built for that. I don't know if that statement brings you comfort or joy, but I hope it brings you understanding. You got to understand what people is doing and why they are doing it. Just because you can't see their root system, understanding their mind will tell you everything they are rooted in. Everything. And the reason I say that is this: you may not see where they are planted, but their mind will show you where their fruit is. And everything that they have will show you not only the labor they put in, but if it's good or bad. Sometimes you may never know until I had an apple. I thought that apple was so good. I bit in it. It was rotten and had a little worm in it. I was freaked out. because it looked good. But was it good? No. Excuse me. And what that makes me think of is how many people will give you bad fruit to satisfy you, only for you to bite into it later and realize it's bad. But by that time, they don't gone on about their business. They don't took your money, your time, your attention, your whatever. And the thing becomes, but they showed me this and they showed me that, but they also showed you their mind, which shows you their roots. If you're not paying attention to a way a person is thinking and being, you will always miscalculate the fruit. Always. And you will judge yourself based on how fast and how much they are producing. The question is, why are you producing that much? When I understand that this particular thing can only produce this amount of fruit. I'm trying to think about that. What are you judging yourself and comparing yourself to and with? Why? And the thing becomes, we're so used to instant gratification or things being mass consumed, we don't feel like sorting through and picking through everything until something stops us in our tracks and make us want to compare. Why do you compare? Because in order to compare, you have to see benefit in what it is. Is it because you want it? Is it because you like what it's producing? Or is it because something about it is intriguing to you and you can't understand it and you're wondering, why can't I have it? Why isn't my root system producing that much or giving me this and giving me that? It's not saying this person can be good or bad, but you got to understand what season they are in. How much they have waited to produce that type of fruit, to be able to get this and that and this and that. Or is it bad fruit and they don't even have a root system? But to understand that, you have to understand their mind. People will reveal themselves every single time if you listen to their words. They will show you if they was a florist or a gardener. By me looking at that plant inkling, you will tell me I was a florist. Because I found value in a cut piece of plant and tried to give it a root system instead of trying to plant a seed. And when you saw Gloria right here, the first thing you say, dang, it came all the way from a seed. She really took care of that. She found value in keeping it. I had that plant for years. And I don't even watch that plant and really pay attention. I love her. Don't get me wrong. I water her. When I'm like, oh, snaps, I need to go water her. What if God do that to us? He watches over us, but he don't stand there and be like, are you growing? Are you growing? Are you going? When I pass by that plant, I'm like, dang, she really grew a lot. But I allow her root system to do the work. I know, oh, I forgot to water her, I think in a week. Let me go water. But the thing is, I understand her root system is so strong and her foundation is strong, she will not die. If I leave her alone for too long, she might end up having a bad leaf or two that I need to come and take off. I might be like, you know what? Let me go rub a little oil on her leaves to let her know that I care about her. You know, she decided to take this little piece and grow it. Not realizing it wasn't good for her, let me go ahead and take that off, so it don't affect the whole stem. Because the moment you take something bad off, it will produce more and more and more and more, because it will find the benefit of the good. But sometimes you got to be left alone, so you value yourself and know yourself and just grow and just live and evolve over time. So my question is, what are you comparing your bloom to? And why? The world is full of comparison until something authentic stands out. But in order to be authentic, you have to find the value in individuality. And that's the prime example of a gardener. A gardener can have 100 plants, but it has like this deep understanding and knowing with each one that it planted. It can tell you the difference of the fruit that it produced, or just the difference of how this plant acts when it don't get water, how this plant does when it's overly watered, how this plant acts in different seasons. You could even essentially say business. For my business, when I started my business 6-7 years ago, 2019, I just started because I loved it, the thrill of just wanting to create. But as my business went on, it grew a root system. And I understood this my busy season, this my slow season, it's a season I need to really water and put in extra work into it in order to get something from it. Even if it's not now. But in next season, when this time comes around, I promise you I'm going to get my profit margin and have my overhead more than it was the last time. Because I understand what it's about to go through. Ooh. What if God understands what we're about to go through? That's why he give us a little love and extra care and attention, and we think that's what we're supposed to get all of the time. But God knew that one season is the season we need him the most. What if a lot of people are afraid to live because God is not hounding them and on their back about, okay, walk left and walk right and do this and do that. But essentially when you're walking and you're moving around in life, your brain tells you, put one foot in front of the other. Okay, you need to take a deep breath. Okay, you need to breathe. God is not on your back saying, breathe, blink your eyes, do this, do that. Because he understands he gave you a root system. I hope y'all get what I'm saying. I can go on and on about this topic, but for overall and all in all, don't compare yourself to someone else's bloom. Don't compare yourself to someone else's roots or lack thereof. And don't compare yourself to someone else's understanding or trying to please the seer and not be a gardener, or trying to please the florist and not trying to understand why the seer is interested in the florist. Let me bring it to this since I said that. The seer will not go to the gardener, but it'll go to the florist. Because the florist found value in the temporary beauty of what it got. In order to get something from a gardener, you have to get a mass production or a plant from them. They will not just sell you one little stem. They won't. They'll sell you some seeds. They'll sell you the whole plant. But to a florist, they understand they want a mass production of roses, sunflowers. They can do that. because you're not taking away their root system, and you're not taking away from the bush, or whatever the case might be. They understand it's going to grow back, even if they got to plant a new one. They got to take the stem, because, you know, flowers are on stems. So, but you understand what I'm saying? And if a seer go to a gardener, it'll essentially become a gardener, if you know how to grow some shit. Florists ain't trying to grow nothing, because they find value in just creating these beautiful bouquets to give to the seers to admire it. That's just like a painter. Person paint a picture, and they take it to the museum, the gardener. They're not going to stand there waiting to see who all walks by, who see value, and what they think about it. They are only focused on the buyer, which is the seer. The florist, which is everyone passing by looking at the painting and like, oh, that's really nice, you know, I don't see benefit in it. Blah. No, I did this wrong. The gardener will be the artist. The florist will be the museum. The people passing by will be the seer. Got to correct myself. And the people walking by, but there always going to be one seer that's going to value everything that the gardener, which is the artist, did. And everything that the museum, which is the florist, how they hold it and house it. And why did they pick that one out of everything else? Because they understand there was a seer seeking for something that the artist did, that it will speak to them in a way they'll love it. Sometimes it's only one. And sometimes it's a couple, but the question is only one person can buy it. And what they do with it is up to them. I don't know. Maybe I'm just rambling. But I can go on and on and on. We already 30-something minutes in. Well, this side is 30. Well, we probably 40, 50 minutes in. But I hope y'all can get what I'm saying. So that's a perspective to shift your reality and something to really be thought about. So think about it. Check out my other videos and podcasts. I will put them right there. And also, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Tell me what other videos y'all would like to see me make on different topics. And also check out my Substacks. I've been writing. Your girl been writing on the Substack. But thank you for sitting with me and grabbing your coffee and your tea. And I hopefully see you on the next one.